Welcome to Purple Sharks podcast. I'm Kashni from Team Purple Sharks, who's participating in the Tejas book competition. And today we'll be discussing telling a story in different perspective helps achieve the truth by examining different claims. One example of this claim is from the book Shitala by Mitra Desi, in which we learn how the technique of vaccination was discovered in India long before Western countries have set to discover it. The informative book talks about Tara, and how the protagonist's best friend loses her mother because of not being able to get enough resources for the treatment and vaccination on that at time during the COVID era. Tara is frustrated at the fact of not being able to help her best friend and argues with her grandfather that about why is India so behind in figuring out an effective vaccination when other Western countries have been progressing exponentially in the past. During COVID, her grandfather Lakshman Malvakarn, uh, mostly called Nana by Tara, who is an Ayurvedic therapist, tries to calm her down by saying on page 24 that vaccines take time, Tararani, and even after we found the vaccine, it might be a long time before the world becomes coronavirus free. He continues to explain that on page 25 that times have changed and it won't be long before we wake up to news that vaccine has been developed. With some luck, Bharat might have a lion's share in providing the vaccine to the world. Tara, still not being convinced, believes India's somewhat broken system can never justify how India will be able to create a vaccine without any help from other Western countries. Looking at Tara's distested claim on India's ability to create a vaccine, Nana thought the past would be the only way to explain the future to Tara. He says, would you believe me if I told you Bharat has always had the know how to make it happen? In fact, knowledge from Bharat has been the precursor to vaccination as we know it today. On page 26. Tara, still stubborn on her thoughts, sets on a journey to learn about vaccines and its relation to India to prove her Nana wrong. One factor both of them specifically focus on is smallpox. Her Nana Smallpox. Nana believes that India laid its hands for vaccination a long time ago and had a major role played in smallpox vaccination, while Tara thought Google was right and that Edward Jenner was the inventor of smallpox vaccine, thinking that India had nothing to do with the smallpox vaccination. However, after the evening prayers, Nana proves her wrong by explaining to her how the Indian goddess Sheetal was connected to the vaccination method and is mentioned on page 47. He says, Sheetal literally means cool. Most people think she carries a pot of cold water to relieve the patient's fever, and the broom is a reminder to keep the surroundings clean. I reckon the pointy broom signifies a sharp instrument to prick and pierce the skin. The pot carries wireless materials, and the winnowing fan on her head depicts the patient's burning fever, fanning the patients burning with fever to lower their body temperature. He also cites the fifth sloka in Shitalastakam, an ancient Indian book that links Shital goddess to the vaccination of smallpox. It mentions all illnesses that she cures and targets. However, this left Tara more conflicted. So once again, she explores how India made the cure to smallpox vaccination. How Devi Shita was part of it. After researching, she finds out that there was a religious vaccination practice that followed. In this practice, they would rub the outside of the arm with a dry cloth for 10 minutes vigorously and then make 15 to 16 incisions in a circle. Then, on a dry wad of cotton, in a small wad of cotton, they would add materials like medicinal herbs and moisten it with water from Ganga and place it on the wound for hours straight. The cotton was clean and made sure that no raw material touched it and kept away from anything that could contaminate it. When done properly, it would cure the patient. The success rate was so high, it was a miracle if the treatment was done and the person still got smallpox. Once Tara found this out, she went to Nana and told him what she learned and asked the question, why did Jenner wait to make the vaccination for smallpox when he knew smallpox existed for a long time and suddenly come up with the vaccination when a milk lady said, I have cowpox so I won't have smallpox. To that, Nana says, isn't it possible Europeans already knew smallpox prevented cowpox prevents smallpox, and was missing the ancient tribal knowledge of adaptive immunity. The infection can be introduced to a non immune person, triggering a lesser affliction to the healthy person, which in turn help them develop immunity against the smallpox. He also says by no means should we take away from Jenner's work, as it was important at the time, but I'm certain that inclusion treatments fill that knowledge gap that helped Jenner put two and two together. The next day, Tara understood that Britishers may have learned that having one disease can make you immune to another and create a vaccination according to that. But the practice of inserting needles for immunity towards a disease had been in India as early as the 3rd century. Learning this, she was frustrated on why Britishers were given credit for vaccination when Indians were the first to invent it. Later on, she also finds more ancient books from Nana that give cure to smallpox and how to fix it using surgeries. Tara also questions Nana if the tribal system was derived from the surgical version or not. He tells her that it may or may not have been. But if it wasn't, then India would have two well developed independent systems to treat smallpox surgically and through vaccination. Tara understands that you have to check all perspectives and proofs before being overconfident and believing a claim, and writes a blog to share her story throughout the world. The story of the book explains to us that it is important to tell our stories from our perspective and explain our claims and beliefs that match our past. If a story doesn't have multiple perspectives to think from, people will only know one claim that may or may not be true. Consequently, it's important to tell our stories so our minds can have arguments and claims to question, which can lead to the ultimate truth. History can be really complicated, and without looking from different perspectives and deeply inspecting the facts, you can't end up thinking that what's laid in front of you is the absolute truth fact. In the case of Tara, she was able to understand the Ayurvedic practice of India and how its culture played a role in inventing vaccines. Telling our stories helped us spread our own experience that helped grow new ideas and cultures into new perspectives. Like how Tara writes what she learned in a blog to help spread the idea that vaccination was invented by not only Westerners but also Indians. The book Sheetal is a book that mentions how Ayurvedic medicine was the first vaccine and how it became part of India's culture. It also achieves the ability to convey its message and inform information to people around the world. It also reminds us to tell our own stories, which may be hidden from other Western perspectives. That is it for this podcast. I hope it was informative and answered any of your questions. Have a good day and bye.